Yesterday we finished off, we learned the Bach, right? Who can tell me what the Bach says?
It's past the 10 minutes from the last time's video.
But
Yeah. We're continuing from what we learned yesterday. Gabi, what did the Bach say?
The Bach. 1 second, I just need the. I know it, but need just the hint.
The Bach, I'll remind you. It's okay, I'll remind you. The Bach said, remember we had 2 questions. We need, very quickly, we need to understand the Ramah who is chayesh for the Shittas HaSmag, that Kiddushin be'ed echod is good Kiddushin. Kolzman, they are not makhish the aid.
Mm-hmm.
If they are makhish, if one of them is makhish the aid, ein lochush. Says the Bash and the Cham, Bishmul and Chelkes Mechaykek, they both say that ein lochush, the loshon of ein lochush is mashma. What? What's the mashmos of that loshon ein lochush? What does that imply?
No one.
Good, very good.
There's no chashash for anyone.
Ein lochush means bechla.
Yeah.
Even for the party that agrees with the Eid Echad. It's zum Beispiel. You have the Chosan agrees with the Eid Echad, that there was Kiddushin. The Kala is the one who says no.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do we say Ein Lochush that the Kala doesn't need to think, but the Chosan as well. That's what Ein Lochush means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
So she keeps him out of a Issur trouble by saying that it was a...
Ein Lochush, Ein Lochush, Ein Lochush, for anybody.
Right.
That's what it means.
Yeah, just to make him...
On that, the Chelkes Mechaykek will stick with the Chelkes Mechaykek at the moment. So another Chelkes Mechaykek said, given that we have 2 options of what the case is, either lahadam or hashta'a. What's lahadam?
It was like
low
nothing.
Lo dvarim olam, which means nothing took place at all.
There's no ego.
Nothing. Well, slow down. You're very eager, which is awesome, which is great. But lahadam means nothing took place at all. Or we have hashda'a. Eli, what's hashda'a?
It's a deceit.
Meaning.
It was a joke.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
You.
That's right. Prank. Genau.
Prank.
That exactly. It was that's the hashdah. Says the Chelkes Mechaykek. We have to say that we're talking about hashdah, not lahadam, because if it's lahadam, if that's the case of the Ramah, then the other party who agrees to the Eid Echad, surely you have shavei nafshech hatichid isura for him or her. But if we say it's hashdah, then we say nothing took place. Why? Because we have. Now you can come in with your migu. Please go ahead.
Should I
go for it, man?
So because her migo works.
What you have to say what the migu is.
So she could have what migo always works on what she could have said.
Good.
So she could have said that there was nothing at all, which would be the version which would be questionable. But because she says it was a joke and she doesn't go the full way,
therefore we
must believe her.
We should believe her.
And
we should believe
for that
her.
reason, if we believe her, then we don't have an issue also with him.
Because there's no obviously no Kiddushin. Because once we believe her, once we have she has ne'emonus then obviously there's no then you need 2 to tango. You need Choska. On that, the Chelkes Mechaykek asked 2 questions. Asked the Chelkes Mechaykek, question number 1. It's not about credibility. It's never about credibility. It's about dvarim shebelev. Even with 2 edim, we believe. It's not about belief. It's got nothing to do with ne'emonus. That's his first question. It's nothing to do with ne'emonus. That's question number 1. Question number 2, what should be the fundamental difference between an Eid Echad and Shnei Eidim? What would be with Shnei Eidim? And there would be, somebody would say, hashta'a, would say it's a prank. We would say, dvarim shebelev, einam dvarim. So why should it be any different with Eid Echad? What's the fundamental difference? Whatever you have normally with Shnei Eidim would be here, according to the Ramah, with Eid Echad. What's the fundamental difference? So then he brings the Bach. And the Bach says, yes, there is a fundamental difference in in how we approach a case of hashtar between Eid Echad and Shnei Eidim. But he doesn't really elaborate why should that be so. And indeed, therefore, the Chelkas Mechoikek and the Beis will reject the Bach. Ve'ein dvar of Muchrochim. We don't agree lahokel. That's where we left it off yesterday. Nachon.
Okay.
One second, the Bach says that we deal
Read
differently
it.
with
Read it.
Hashtar.
V'arav b'Bach chilek bein Eid Echad lebeis Eidim b'tanas hashtar v'kosav d'neman loymar tanas hashtar be'Eid Echad v'shekein posak halacha l'maisa. The Bach says we believe the Eid Echad we believe a claim of I was joking, I was pranking you. We believe it in Eid Echad more than with a case of two Eidim. V'shekein posak halacha l'maisa. And on that, both the Beis Shmuel and the Chelkas Mechoikek say, Ein dvar of Muchrochim lahokel. They don't agree. What should be the svar? That's where we're up to. Now, turn to the. I'm not sure which way to do it. So let me just fill you in on some details. There's a Taz over here. You do know the relationship between the Taz and the Bach.
Schwer.
Very good. It was a difficult one. Sorry, no. Yes, he was. The Bach was the Taz's father-in-law. The Taz. You know the Maisa with the Bach and the Taz about the meat. Quickly, why not? Very quickly. So the Bach, whose name was Rabbi Yoel Sirkish, one of the first Rav in Brisk actually, initially. His son-in-law was Reb David Halevi Segal, the Taz. And the Bach promised the Taz, as part of the Nadan, he promised him a fleischke meal every day. And then the Bach was Yorad min Chosov, lost his money. And he was no longer able to give the Taz a fleischke meal every day. So his son-in-law took him to a din Torah. Everybody's schockiert. Was the Heilige, the Taz takes his saintly father-in-law to a din Torah, and he took him to a din Torah, demanding the what's his name? Demanding the fleischke meal, he said it, and the based in Paskent, he's not chayav. He lost his money, he's not chayav. Once he'd been to the din Torah, he turned to his father-in-law and says, now let me explain to you. He said, I don't care about meat. Do you think I care about meat? But when I eat a fleischke meal, I'm stronger, I'm able to focus more, I'm able to learn longer and deeper and better, and I'm able to be machadash Torah. Now that I don't have the meal, I won't be able to do it as good. And that means there will be less Torah in the world, and that's a taina on you. So I knew I would lose the din Torah. So I took you to din Torah so that she'll paskin down here that you're potter, and therefore there's no taina on you min hashamayim that I'm not able to give such Torah.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah? This is the Bach and the Taz. This is just a bit of Yiras HaKoved we should understand. There's so much more, but I'm not here to give you these sort of... I'm all a bit of a chizuk HaMaisa is always a nice thing. Agav, right, weiter. So there's a Taz here who discusses this idea of the Bach, and there's a Hagor in the Taz. I'm not sure whether the note in the Taz, we're not going to learn it inside, I'm just making you aware of it, who argues on the Bach, and we're going to see today, Mitz Hashem, we're going to see Aruch Hashulchan and Rav Moshe Feinstein, who pasken like the Bach, halacha l'maisa. So, this is a little bit unusual. We have the two classic commentators here, the Beis Shmuel and the Chelkas Mechoikek, and yet we have Gedolei Acharonim paskening not like them. Let us learn some Aruch Hashulchan first, in the bundle I gave you last week, whatever it was. Let's learn the Aruch Hashulchan, and then we will get to Rav Moshe, which I've just given out to you. Zog the Aruch Hashulchan. It's the last page. It's the last page on the bundle I gave you last week. Zog the Aruch Hashulchan. You ready?
Yes.
Grey. The photo. There was grey paper in the photocopy for some weird reason. That's right. Zog the Aruch Hashulchan. Keshekidesh. Lifnei Eid Echad gam kein einoi klum ledas harif v'horosh v'rambam v'roi v'apoiskim. Zog the Aruch Hashulchan as vos that a Kiddushin be'Eid Echad is ganix. Yeah? Because that's Rav Rishoy. V'yesh shehechmiru bozeh v'kosav d'tzorich lachshoish le'Kiddushin. And there are those who are machmir and said you have to be chaysh. V'chein choshash Rabbeinu haRamah l'das ha'machmirim. And indeed, the Ramah takes into account the das ha'machmirim. Im loy b'mokim igun v'doichek yesh lismech adibri amakilin sheim roiv deis. So as long as we don't have a case of igun, aguna, that she's not going to be able to get remarried or not going to be able to get a get. And I mentioned, I think, to you the Noda B'Yehuda the other day. Okay, so generally speaking, we're now v'tama machmirin mishum de b'gemara ifligu b'zeh amoyroi. The reason that the reason of the machmirin, the smag, who the Ramah is chayish for, is because there's a machlokes in the Gemara. Remember Rav Kan and Rav Pop. You remember the Gemara? Yeah. V'loi ifsika hilchasa behedya. Taz and Aruch Hashulchan. The Gemara doesn't pasken. It's not clear. V'lochein chayshina lemisha soiver degam be'idecha b'chayshin lakiddushin. Interessant. Okay. Ach be'ika hadovo yesh lahavin. Taz and Aruch Hashulchan. But let's stop and think. I don't understand. Leman desvirle de chayshinon de chayshin lakiddushin. V'harei halacha berura b'chol hashas de'ein davar shebe'erva pachas mishnayim. I'm not going to remind you of the whole ketzois we learned. Yeah, how can there be even a suggestion that a dachot should be good enough? We know there's a rule. Ein davar shebe'erva pachas mishnayim. V'nira desvirle l'deya zu dezeh. Sorry. V'nira desvirle l'deya zu dezeh de'in davar shebe'erva pachas mishnayim zehu be'isha shekvar hi erva shehi eishes ish. Zog the Aruch Hashulchan, and the emes is, I'm just going to mention it, there is so much talk in the Achronim about this. The Shmeitzer has almost an entire Shmeitzer on this. We're not, unfortunately, time doesn't permit, we need to move on. But listen to the Lomdus here. He says, Ein davar shebe'erva pachas mishnayim means when you have a davar shebe'erva. There is already a davar shebe'erva, and you need to alter the status or paskin on a davar shebe'erva, then you need shnayim. But this is not davar shebe'erva. That's only when you have an isha shekvar hi erva. Shehi eshes ish va'ataba la'isra al-ba'ala k'may b'soita. You want to alter her status to forbid her to her husband, like with the soita. Oyataba la'hatira la'alma k'may beget. When you have a universally acknowledged situation of erva already existing, and you then want to alter that, like soita, to forbid her to her husband, like get, to allow her to go to the world, where does the Torah say davar? Remember, it's Gzera Shava, davar, remember? Where does it say davar? It says it's in the Parashat Gittin. Aval b'pnuya haba'a lehiskadesh have a kinyan k'moy kol hakinyonim. He says, however, Kiddushin is a kinyan. It's kinyone ishus. Without, you're not kind of the wife. She's not your property, of course. We've discussed this. But it's a kinyan. Fundamentally, it's a kinyan. K'moy kol hakinyonim. Shari abal koina oisa v'lochei. Av sheba parasha zu nizkar Kiddushin gam kein. He is separating the kinyan from the Kiddushin. Even though it is true in this parasha there is also Kiddushin, ein lilmoid bekiddushin davar mi davar d'chsev b'misa v'karban. We don't learn the Gzera Shava of davar to the davar which is written by misa and karban, ela mi davar demamai. De bekroksiv l'chol avoin u'l'chol chatos. V'darshinon v'sifri l'chol avoin ze mamoin u'l'chol chatos ze karban. Mipnei shekinyan kiddushin hu doima lekinyan mamoin. The kinyan of Kiddushin, it's fascinating. He's saying an incredible thing. Do you know why you need two for Kiddushin? Why do you need two people for Kiddushin?
Because there's a mammon element?
Because it's mamoin. Not because it's erva. It's genius. Rega, let it sink in first. Let it reflect, let it sink in, think what he's saying, and then by all means, let's just finish the paragraph, then we'll hear what your question. Again, he says, when do I say in davar shebe'erva pachas mishnayim? That's when you have an already established davar shebe'erva. It's not pshat. You in order to establish a davar shebe'erva, you require two. No, it's in order when you have a chazaka, you have already a davar shebe'erva, and you want to alter it somehow, forbid it, to allow it, soita, gittin, whatever, ain't davar shebe'erva pachas mishnayim. But Kiddushin, It's not a davar shebe'erva. Of course, once you have an Eishes Ish, then of course she is now a davar shebe'erva. But the creation of that davar shebe'erva does not require shnayim. You only say davar shebe'erva. It's not a davar shebe'erva. So why do you need two for Kiddushin? That's because it's a kinyan, fundamentally. It's momoin. It's a kinyan. You give kesef. It's a kinyan. Whether you're using kesef or shtar or beer, but it's kinyan. Kinyan is like momoin. And that's why you need two. There's a now. So now that we're and this is sheer genius. What's the halacha of an eid echad with momin? What's the halacha if Gabby, I go to you and I say, Gabby, you owe me €100, and you turn around to me and say, no, you don't owe me a penny, and I bring one aid that you owe me money. What's the halacha? Who knows? Minat Torah.
No.
Shvur.
Thank you. Shvur, Minat Torah. Steht a posuk. Al pishnai meidim yokum davar. And Chazal say, you need two witnesses. One witness can't stand up and go against you for momoin. Avol l'shvua come. But he can be b'chayv your shvua. Shvuas eid echad is minat Torah. I come to you and I say, you owe me €100, and you say, lehadam, you're kofer lakoil, you say, I don't owe you a red cent, and I produce one witness, minat Torah, you have to make a shvua. Midoraisa. So what do you see? That in a kinyan, what do you see? You see that when it comes to momoin, an eid echad does have some value. See what he's done? And given that he's saying that we learn Kiddushin from momoin, so I can understand that there should be a svara that an eid echad, a Kiddushin of an eid echad should mean something possibly. Genius. He's come about this right there. Let's just finish this off. Let's look at it again, and then we'll hear Gabby's question.
No more questions.
Oh, alhamdulillah. Okay. Okay. Because when it comes to Mammon, we darshan that the Eid Echad does have a capacity and a force for Shvuah. Umikra ze yalfinon la lefichach yesh svara de gam be'eid echad kiddushin chayshinon la v'lachein omru lo shen chayshishin k'layma lam kiddushin gemurim hu but chayshishin. Remember, this is so zis, it's so geschmack. It's absolutely brilliant. You see what he's done? He's come left of field totally. It's ge'onus. Let's go through this again. Let's just get this. See what's he done. He's asked the question that everybody asks. The Ketzos, as we saw, gives a whole different chat. You haven't forgotten the Ketzos Reish Malach we learned, of course. But what's the question? The Ramah comes and does a very, very, very strange thing, and everybody needs to ask themselves. We know that Davar Shebe'erva requires two witnesses. We know that's a davar you do it, but it's a davar muskam b'chol hashas. There's no machlekes on that. Comes again the Ramah, and he's chayesh for the das yochid of the smag that kiddushin be'eid echad. Vielleicht, maybe it's mechataisa. Why does the Ramah even entertain it at all? That's his question. Answer is because, says the Aruch Hashulchan, it's not a davar shebe'erva. Ein davar shebe'erva pachs mishnayim, says the Aruch Hashulchan. And by the way, not everybody agrees with this by a long shot. But ein davar shebe'erva means when I have an established davar shebe'erva, and you want to do something with it, you want to alter its status, upgrade, downgrade, whatever. When you're dealing with an acknowledged davar shebe'erva, ein davar shebe'erva pachs mishnayim. So soita, kiddush, gittin, fine. But Kiddushin is not a davar shebe'erva. It is true. Once you have Kiddushin, you create a situation of davar shebe'erva. But nowhere does it say that you can't create a situation of davar shebe'erva with pachas mishnayim. That's not what it means. What is Kiddushin? Where do we learn Kiddushin from? Ki kacheshisha. We learn from kesef. Stay Ephraim. It's a kinyan. It's a kinyan moment. It's a kinyan which creates ishus. But it's a kinyan. Kinyanim, he shows, is learned from mammon. So if fundamentally Kiddushin is a kinyan, which is subject to the laws of Kinyan per Momoin, then I see in Momoin that an Eid Echad is a man da'omar. It's something. It's not enough to create a whole... You need, where it's not agreed, where it's contested, you need two to create it. That's true. But you see that an Eid Echad does have some potency. Haraya, he can be mechayev you, an Eid Echad. It's not like we dismiss, you're nothing, you're nobody. No. If an Eid Echad supports one person in court on money, it's mechayev a shvur d'oraisa. What does that mean? That means choshishin. We say, whoa, Efsha, maybe he's right. Same thing. That's what the Ramah wants to say over here when we have a Kiddushin, which is fundamentally a Kinyan, which is learned from Mammon, that when it comes to an Eid Echad, choshishin. Maybe it's the equivalent, just like with a financial court case, we would say the Eid Echad has the capacity to be mechayev a shvur d'oraisa. Maybe here we have to Kiddushin. Maybe it's Kiddushin. Choshishin.
And we need to find the Shvuah in Kiddushin.
Yeah. What Shvuah?
When we say that an Eid Echad is Mechayev Deoraita.
We're saying Choshish. Okay, and Gabby's asking as follows. I think I understand what you're saying. You want to take it all the way.
Yeah.
But that we don't have that. You would need a limud. For that you would need a limud. Okay. Well, nobody's trying to be mechayev somebody else's money here. This is the difference.
Okay. But
Nobody is trying to be mechayev somebody else's money. When one person is trying to extract money from somebody else, then the Torah says in Achanama, if one supports when it's purely financial. This is not purely financial. They're not arguing over finances here. They're arguing over a kinyan. Was there a kinyan here or not? The Eid Echad tells me that maybe there was a kinyan. We have to take it seriously, right?
So the Shvuah element and the thing we just said about extracting mammon, for example, is a necessary element in the sense of that it's like...
You can't transpose. We have no Makayr, we have no Gemara, we have no proof. You can't make up your own Shavuos. That would be making up, you'd need a primary source to say that in this case you would need a Shavuot. And nobody suggests we need that. Nobody is suggesting that, not even the Ramah. What the Ramah is doing is he's extracting... Almost it's a credibility thing. He's saying you see that just like in the case of Mommon, the Torah doesn't dismiss the Eid Echad and say, it's nothing. The Torah takes it seriously, each in its own way. Okay. Now, when you're talking about money, we make you make a shvur. Here, we're thinking, well, maybe it was Kiddushin, maybe he was right, shvurs are not going to help. You don't have to do a get. Misophic. That would be that's how you demonstrate that you take it seriously, as a possibility. Genius, Aruch Hashulchan, no? Mamish Kishmak, such a beautiful Aruch Hashulchan. Okay, let's go. Now, that was laying the groundwork. I want to do that anyway, because it's just so beautiful. Next, Sif Chaf Aleph, and we haven't even got to the... Oy vey, Ramoshe, the Gam, HaChoishe, the next Sif. And here's where it gets it. Now he comes really into where we were up to. Remember, the Ramah says, when are we chayesh for the Kiddushin of the Eid Echad? Kashesh Shneihem Moedim. Right? When they both parties agree with the Eid Echad. But if they're Makhishim, then ein lochash. And here's where our whole discussion starts. What's called the Makhishim? Says the Aruch Hashulchan. Chaf Aleph. The gam achoshish lekiddushin be'eid echad ein elek shamoidim ledivrei ha'eid. That's only when they all agree. Avol im makhishim oisay ein klum. Va'afilu im echad oimer. Afilu im echad mehem makhish ha'eid lav klum. The eid echad ba'chosha ein klum. One aid when it's being challenged is nothing. Va'afol gav degab momin mechayvo shvua bekan lo shayach shvua. Rashi. There you go. Here, there's not shaykh shvua. V'yesh oimrim dekeshehu makhish lo ha'eid v'hi moida oy ipcha tzorich hamoida lochosh lekiddushin ledeyazu. Yesh oimrim. That what? That if one party, in other words, when one party argues, or let's flip it round, when one party only one party agrees with the Eid Echad, then the party that agrees to the Eid Echad has to really take on board, maybe there is Kiddushin. But that is V'davka kshamakchish oimer shlei hoya shom Kiddushin klal. That's only if it was lahadam. Avol im moida elo she'oimer shelischok niskavein, prank, yes? Mimela gam hamoida in sarach lochosh. Bach. We've done that. You know that, right? That's the Bach. Now, v'afal gavda b'shnei eidim eino ne'eman lo malischik kivanti. Asks the Aruch Hashulchan the same question that the Chelkas Mechoikik and the Beis Shmuel ask on the Bach. And really, in sort of in a way, the question the Chelkas Mechoikik asks himself, right? With two Eidim, what would we say? If one party says I was pranking with two Eidim, we Eino Ne'eman. So why should it be any different? Why should Eid Echad be different? The Bach says there's a fundamental difference. With Eid Echad, you believe. Not. Warum? What? Mikol Mokim, Zok Aruch Hashulchan. Neged Eid Echad Ne'eman b'migud i'av aboy makrish legamrei. Omnam, yesh cholkim b'zeh. T'holoi mitam ne'emonus asinon Allah. He's quoting the Cham and the Bash, that what? This was never about credibility. This is their question on the Bach. It was never about credibility. This is now the bit you underline. This is now the Aruch Hashulchan agreeing with the Bach. Migiloi daita, what would be in the case of two Eidim? If the two Eidim, they have a gefühl, right? They're margish, they feel that there's something, there's a subtext here. I'm not sure these guys are serious. I'm not sure they both mean it. What would be if two Eidim both suspected that the whole thing's an elaborate hoax, it's a prank? What would be the halacha? Avada, there's no Kiddushin. You wouldn't say you go after if the Eidim are margish, you with me? If the two Eidim just feel there's something, they smell a rat, yeah, as we say, Ein ze Kiddushin klal. V'odif mi gilui daita. This is much more than a gilui das, right? Ach, k'she'enoi margishim, but if they don't suspect anything, if the two Eidim don't suspect anything, loi azlinon bosar umdana. We ignore an umdana. An umdana is a probable assessment. Opschatzen, yeah? V'chein be'eid echad. Im hoyo margish shekavanosam lischoik pshita she'im bezeh chashash kiddushin. Oh, the same thing would apply with an Eid Echad, right? If the Eid Echad, our case now, an Eid Echad, if he would just schmeck, that there's something a bit funny going on over here, and he thinks that really maybe it's not serious, then of course there'd be no Chashash Kiddushin. V'lochein onu oimrim, shehamakrish v'oimer shelischoik kiven, ne'emon lahakrish o Eid b'migu. The one person who has a migu, the one person who argues with the Eid, yeah, he says it was a joke. He is believed to challenge the Eid, the single Eid, with a migu. And here's the last line, is crucial. Interesting. Va'onu oimrim shegam ha'eid hirgish shekavonosoi lischoik. We therefore say that given that the person, that one person themselves said their kavana was lischaik, and given that they have credibility because of the migu, once we've given them credibility, we transpose, listen carefully, we transpose that credibility of a prank onto the Eid Echad, and we say, therefore, we'll view it as if the Eid Echad, that there's something. Why do we say that? We have a right to say that because this guy, a woman, whoever it is, has credibility because of a migu. Once they have credibility, that is enough. They are enough to challenge the Eid, which means, therefore, we say, V'anu Eimrim, Shegam ha'eid hirgish, Shekavanosoi lischaik, Umimela degam ha'moida ein tzarich lachush. Nirali. This is a Chiddush, and it's very subtle. It's a Chiddush, it's very subtle, and let's try and go through it again. I'm not sure I fully understand it, if I'm honest, but let's try and do it justice, and then we'll move on. Still a little bit of time left, at least we'll start with Moshe. What the Aruch Hashulchan is saying is as follows. Let's really think deeply. The clash between the externals of an act and the inner mental state of the actors, of the agents here, the man and the woman, it's not so simple just to say, Dvarim shebelev einam dvarim, What would be if the Eidim themselves suspected? They just had an uneasy feeling, and when they are quizzed later by the Rav, Lion, whoever, and they're asked and saying, what is your sense of what was going on there? If they were to turn around and say, to tell you the truth, we both felt, and we discussed it later, whatever, and we both felt actually there was something a bit off. There was something a bit off. We weren't 100% sure. Yes, externally, in other words, they are being made that externally there was a Maisa Kiddushin, but then they are saying that they felt, observing the whole context, the body language, the whatever, I don't know, whatever, if they would, that would be good enough to say there's no Kiddushin. We wouldn't just say, oh, Dvarim Shebelev, you have no right to impute motive. That's a good word there. To impute motive to one of the actors. If you be, in other words, they're being made. The function of the aid is being made not just on what they see, they're being made on everything. They're being made on the totality, including the inner sort of mental frame structure, and they have that right. And we wouldn't go to the Eidim and say, I'm sorry, it's not your job to speculate on what's going on inside. You witnessed a proper Kiddushin, they're married. No, we don't say that, that's clear. So now let's transpose that to an Eid Echad. Normally an Eid Echad does not have credibility. Eid Echad says, I saw a regular Kiddushin. The one party says I was pranking, and that one party has credibility. They have ne'emonus. They have ne'emonus, and they are able to challenge the Eid Echad. They have a right to challenge the Eid Echad because they have a migu. The migu stands for something. If the migu stands for something, it then elevates what's been happening here to the realm of not just Dvarim Shebelev. And that then transposes onto the Eid Echad. And we say, and this is a chiddush, I accept, V'anu oimrim shegam ha'eid hirgish. We assume that the Eid himself was margish, that there was a kavanah for schaik. And that's enough to weaken the whole thing, and therefore no party needs to be concerned. Now there is a jump here. That last line is a bit of a jump, because it's we who are saying, we the halachists, we who are deciding, we're saying, given that the party who claims they're pranking has a right and a credibility to challenge the Eid Echad because of the migu, it therefore has real resonance and meaning, and we transpose that onto the Eid, and we say, actually, we looking at the whole thing now, we say that the Eid Echad really smelt something was off, and if the Eid Echad smells something's off, then it's no good. It's a chiddush. That's the Aruch Hashulchan. Let's not spend more time on it. Let's go straight to Rav Moshe. Now, Rav Moshe has two tshuvas on this. Now, they are long, but we're going to highlight bits of it. Okay? And I've actually, this is not even the whole tshuva. I have truncated, yes?
Sorry, I'm just thinking about this is a statement or an idea that's proper to the Aruch Hashulchan.
This is the Aruch Hashulchan.
There's nobody else who talks about this. Assumption that we transpose on.
Well, let's see what Rav Moshe says. Let's see what Rav Moshe says. This is Aruch Hashulchan. This is Aruch Hashulchan.
But we don't know whether it's ascribed to probability or just we want to strengthen the.
Well, you can make your own judgment. I've read and translated it. He's giving it a svara, a basis in svara. It's a chiddush, and on the basis of that, he is following the Bach. That is his chiddush. Let's see how Rav Moshe approaches it. Let's have a look at the case. So the first is Tshuvas Igrus Moshe Even Ezra Chelik Aleph Siman Pei Daled Kiddushin Lifnei Eid Echad Kishahaya Yesh Chochos Shalei Niskavnu LeKiddushin. This is a tshuva written in 1956. Okay. Hine Bidvara Kiddushin Shalei Lifnei Eid Echad. The case was there was a Kiddushin in front of an Eid Echad. V'ha'eid rak shoma. The aide heard the Hariyat, didn't see the giving of the ring, and she says she was joking. Why is she joking? She knew that you need two eidim. And this is, by the way, a factor the Chasam Sofer that Rabbi Yehuda talk about. We haven't really discussed it. Think about it. She knew, she says, I know you need two eidim, so of course it was a joke. There was one aid there.
So sneaky.
Yeah. Ki yoda shetzarich b'kiddushin shnei edim. V'gamo imeres. She also says shatabasi be'etzem shelo. Actually, he gave her her own ring, which was given as a simon that she finished, graduated high school. It's one of her rings which she got when she graduated high school, and she had given it to him a little bit just before the time, and it was as a sign of friendship and not for a total matona. Whatever. And she says that he also chapped it. Blah blah. Okay. Here we go. So the first thing he deals with, and this is good chazorah for you, is Seif Aleph. Yeah, remember? I know we're doing Seif Beis, but Seif Aleph, we had 3 cases there. Yeah, again, heads up, whenever the test is. Next week you've got chazorah. I'm away, like I said, I'm away next week. So you please, I'll send exactly what you should be doing chazorah on. But use the time well for chazorah. Avol yesh lodon bezeh. The ulai who hay chachav umdena the loy niskaven likidushin elo lischayk lisleitzates. Maybe we can demonstrate that it was a prank. Shemashma b'ramarish simon mebeis du hay chachav gedoyla. That what? It's a good proof that what? And she threw it away straight away. Remember when she threw away the ring straight away, and she said she only had kavanah for schaik. Right? Really? I'm sorry, I'm running through that. Really, the Ramah says the fact that she throws it away very quickly does demonstrate that she didn't mean it. It just so happens that we don't follow. In other words, it's a good umdana, but we don't rely on umdanais in Kiddushin, right? And the reason is that Shumas Maimoni says blah blah blah. We go chumra ve'eshes ish. We don't rely on umdanais. Ve'im kain. 2 lines before the end of that paragraph. Ve'im kain shehu rak sofik. So it's only a suffix. Umashmash urak suffix koton. It's a small suffix. Lachein bekiddushin shelifnei eid echad. Kiddushin in front of an eid echad, which itself is so weak. Rak shechoishishin lahachmir ein lanu lahachmir by chocha kazu she'af lifnei shnei eidim hoyer ze rak suffix koton de kiddushin. So kal v'chema, when we're talking when she threw it away, and kiddushin in front of an eid echad is weak at the best of times anyway. So maybe that is we should use that as an indication that she, by throwing it away, the ring away immediately, that she never meant it. You know, I'm going to miss that out. I'm going to miss this out because we're running out of time anyway. Okay, we're going to have to stop here, I'm afraid. Okay, so next time we learn, please hang on to this, Moshe. Next time we learn, we actually want, if anybody wants to prepare ahead with pleasure, it's on the next page, it's the bit I've put in bold, is the main svara, and then we have another svara in another tshuva, and we will pick up from there. So, the next time we are going to learn will be